In the dim, flickering light of a single candle, 10-year-old Ethan lay motionless on his narrow bed, his frail chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. The air in the cramped attic room was heavy, thick with the musty scent of old wood and the faint chill of a winter night seeping through the cracked window pane. His eyes, though closed, hid a storm of emotions: fear, anger, and a desperate flicker of defiance. Each heartbeat thundered in his chest, a relentless drumbeat urging him to fight against the cruel fate that loomed over him. Through the thin, warped door, he caught the sharp clack of a suitcase snapping shut, followed by the heavy tread of Dr. Marrow's boots on the creaking floorboards, fading into the distance like a retreating storm. The silence that followed was suffocating, broken only by the mournful howl of the wind outside, rattling the window as if the night itself were grieving. Suddenly, a voice sliced through the stillness, sharp, cold, and dripping with false concern. It was Cassandra, Ethan's distant cousin, her words echoing down the hallway like a blade cutting through the quiet. "Doctor, how is Ethan's condition?" she asked, her tone polished with feigned worry. Dr. Marrow's voice, low and heavy with the weight of his diagnosis, answered, "I'm afraid it's grave, Miss Cassandra. The boy's heart is too weak. 5 years at most is all he has left." A soft gasp escaped Cassandra's lips, but Ethan, lying in the shadows, felt no trace of genuine sorrow in it. Her words were a performance, a mask of sympathy that hid her true nature. "Oh, poor Ethan," she murmured, her voice trembling just enough to sound convincing. "He's so young to face such a tragedy." Ethan's small hands clenched the threadbare blanket, his knuckles whitening. Her words were poison, each syllable a dagger twisting in his heart. "Liar!" he screamed silently, his mind ablaze with rage. "You heartless witch!" He opened his eyes, staring out the window into the inky void of the night sky. No stars pierced the thick veil of clouds, only an endless expanse of darkness that seemed to swallow every shred of hope. His thoughts drifted to brighter days, when the grand estate of Willowmere was a haven of warmth and love, not the cold prison it had become. Once, Willowmere had been Ethan's paradise. His parents, William and Eliza, had poured their hearts into building a home filled with laughter and light. Ethan was their treasure, their little star, as his mother called him, her voice soft as she tucked him into bed each night. In those golden days, the estate's sprawling gardens were alive with color, roses blooming in vibrant reds, lavender swaying in the breeze, and apple trees heavy with fruit. His father would hoist him onto his shoulders, racing through the grass while Eliza watched from the veranda, her laughter bright as the sun, a straw hat dangling from her fingers. Those memories were Ethan's lifeline, fragile threads of joy he clung to in the darkness. But that happiness had shattered when Cassandra entered their lives, a shadow creeping over their once radiant world. Cassandra was the daughter of William's older brother, who had died when she was a child. Her mother had abandoned her, leaving her to the mercy of Ethan's grandparents, who took her in with open hearts. By the time Ethan was born, Cassandra was a grown woman, her beauty sharp and cold, her eyes like polished steel. After his grandparents passed, she remained at Willowmere, appointed as Ethan's caretaker. But her care was a facade, a cruel charade. Even as a sickly child, relying on a regimen of bitter pills and endless doctor's visits, Ethan saw through her. Her gentle touches, her soothing words, they were hollow, a performance to mask her greed and cruelty. Then tragedy struck. A plane crash stole Ethan's parents, leaving him an orphan at 7, alone in the clutches of Cassandra. As his legal guardian, she seized control of the family's wealth, the fortune his parents had built through years of hard work. Her pretense of kindness vanished. She treated Ethan like a burden, her words laced with venom, her glances filled with disdain. The vibrant estate withered under her rule. The gardens grew wild and tangled, the once lively halls now silent and cold. Ethan's spirit, like the estate, began to fade, his hope eroding like a sandcastle under relentless waves. But that night, as he lay in the suffocating quiet, a spark ignited within him. He sat up, his thin frame trembling with resolve, his eyes blazing in the darkness. "She doesn't deserve it," he whispered fiercely. "Not the house, not the money, not a single thing my parents left behind." The thought of Cassandra profiting from his family's legacy was unbearable. He would rather see it all donated to orphanages, to charities, to anyone but her. Time was short, but Ethan was done being a victim. He would fight, no matter how weak his body or how little time he had left. The next morning, pale sunlight filtered through the frost-covered window, casting a ghostly glow over the room. Martha, the kind-hearted cook, entered with a tray bearing a lukewarm cup of tea and a slice of stale bread. Her eyes, warm but weary, met Ethan's as he frowned at the meager breakfast. "Martha, can I have some butter or an egg?" he asked, his voice soft but tinged with frustration. She sighed, her hands twisting nervously. "I'm sorry, love. This is all Miss Cassandra allows for you." Ethan's jaw tightened, anger flaring in his chest. Damn her, he thought, biting back a curse. He wanted to hurl the tray across the room, to scream, but he swallowed his rage. He had to stay calm, to play the part of the obedient boy while he crafted his plan. The door swung open, and Cassandra swept in, her black dress absorbing the light like a void. Around her neck hung her prized possession, a string of amber pearls, each one gleaming like a ripe chestnut. Her voice was ice as she spoke. "Still not eating? Honestly, Ethan, you're more trouble than you're worth." He lowered his gaze, forcing a meek reply. "I'll eat now, cousin." He shuffled to the small table by the window, his eyes drifting to the overgrown garden beyond. The once lush grounds were now a wasteland of weeds and barren trees, a stark contrast to the pristine front lawn Cassandra maintained for appearances. The sight twisted his heart, a reminder of how she let everything he loved decay. When Cassandra and Martha left, Ethan seized his chance. With trembling legs, he climbed through the window, his heart pounding as he made his way to the far end of the garden. There, hidden among the brambles, stood an old wooden shed, its paint peeling and roof sagging. He pushed open the creaking door and stepped into his sanctuary. Inside, he had preserved fragments of his past, a tennis racket his father once swung, his mother's straw hat, his grandfather's pipe, his grandmother's knitting needles. Each item was a piece of his heart, a tether to the family he'd lost. Cassandra had forbidden him from coming here, claiming it was bad for his health, but Ethan knew the truth. She wanted to cage him, to strip away his last scraps of freedom. Fortunately, her frequent absences, trips to squander his parents' money on shady deals, gave him opportunities to slip away. In the shed, he found solace, a place where he could breathe. Tucked behind a tattered curtain were his two secret companions, a hoot-in hen with snowy feathers he called Luna, and a ferret he named Shadow, his guardian spirit. He'd bought them from Tommy, the butcher's son and his only friend. Tommy helped keep them fed, sneaking scraps of bread and fruit when he could. Shadow's cage was sturdy iron, built to contain the ferret's sharp teeth and nimble paws. Ethan cherished these creatures, his only allies in a world that felt increasingly hostile. Every Thursday, when Cassandra attended church, Ethan held a secret ritual in the shed. He set up a small altar with wildflowers, apples, and flickering candles, kneeling before Shadow's cage. "Guardian spirit," he'd whisper, sometimes shouting in desperation, "please help me escape her. Do something." Once, when Cassandra suffered an agonizing toothache that left her bedridden for days, Ethan was convinced Shadow had answered his prayers. His faith in the ferret grew stronger, a beacon in his darkening world. One Sunday afternoon, Ethan sat in the dining room, staring at a lavish spread meant to impress Cassandra's guests. But as his eyes fell on the roasted chicken, his heart stopped. The comb was notched, a mark he knew too well. It was Luna. Cassandra's gaze locked onto his, her lips curling into a cruel smile. "Delicious, isn't it?" she taunted. "Your little pet, roasted to perfection." Tears burned Ethan's eyes, but he choked them back. "You're a monster," he spat, his voice trembling. Cassandra's smile widened. "You're lucky I don't punish you for sneaking into that filthy shed. Feeding chickens? How pathetic." Her voice turned venomous. "And tomorrow, I'm tearing it down. Let's see where you hide then." She leaned closer, her pearls glinting. "Oh, and that iron cage? What's in there, a rat? Maybe I'll cook it next." Ethan's blood boiled. She dared to mock Shadow, his guardian spirit. His eyes fixed on her amber pearls, their glossy surfaces taunting him like forbidden fruit. In that moment, a plan took root, dark and dangerous. That night, alone in his room, Ethan knelt by his bed, his hands clasped tightly. "Guardian spirit," he whispered, tears streaming down his pale cheeks. "Please end this. Free me from her." The next morning, chaos erupted. The gardener burst into the house, his face ashen, stammering that Cassandra had been found dead in the shed, her body sprawled on a pile of straw, her throat pierced. Her amber pearls lay scattered, untouched. The coroner determined the weapon was a sharp iron hook. The police descended, but the investigation stalled. The gardener admitted Cassandra had scolded him for neglecting the shed. The butcher revealed she'd argued with him over Tommy's friendship with Ethan. Martha confessed Cassandra had banned Ethan from the shed, yet he still went there. An iron hook was found in the bushes, bearing the gardener's and butcher's fingerprints, but both had alibis. A robbery was ruled out. Cassandra's pearls, valuable as they were, remained untouched. In the dining room, Ethan sat before a feast of eggs, ham, sausages, and fresh butter. He spread butter on his toast, his expression serene. The inspector entered, his face somber. "Ethan, I'm sorry about your cousin," he said gently. "We're still looking for the killer." Ethan looked up, his voice soft. "Any leads, sir?" The inspector sighed. "She was stabbed in the throat with something sharp. We searched the shed. Nothing but junk, a chicken coop, and an empty iron cage." Ethan lowered his eyes, hiding a faint smile. Shadow had escaped. Starved for days, the ferret must have mistaken Cassandra's pearls for ripe chestnuts, lunging in a frenzy. His prayers had been answered. The inspector stood. "We'll keep investigating." "Take care, Ethan." Ethan extended a pale hand. "Good luck, sir." As the inspector left, Ethan took another bite of toast, the weight of years lifting from his shoulders. Sunlight streamed through the window, bathing his face in warmth. For the first time in years, he felt free.